Hi everyone, and welcome to this last part of making the Eowyn dress from Lord of the Rings. I'll show you how I made the final elements of this gown, the sleeves plus the finishing touches, and stick around till the end for the grand reveal. If you haven't yet, check out my other videos on making this dress series, from the dress body to embroidery and to the belt. So Eowyn's sleeves are constructed of both outer and inner sleeves. For the outer sleeves, I first played around with the pattern and cut out about 3 mock-ups until I was happy with the shape, whether it needed to be longer, wider, at what angle, and so on. But the final pattern ended up looking sort of like this. This is the final mock-up, and you can see that the sleeves are constructed of 2 parts that meet at the elbow. This was done to save fabric. What you see here is the lower part of the trumpet sleeve, and it's 1/2 like I showed on the sketch earlier, and this was done to save paper. I marked where the fabric needs to be cut on the fold. You flip the pattern over, basically mirroring the pattern, and voila! This is what it ends up looking like when you cut out the piece. Here I'm cutting the same pattern out of the other fabric, which is the lining. It was supposed to be some shiny cream brocade, but I found this lovely linen with embroidery flowers and I love the results that it gave me. I had less of this fabric, so in order to save it, I cut the lining just like the pattern, so no flipping it over on the fold. I cut out 2 pieces and sew them together down this line, because this seam will not be visible anyway when it's on the inner side and on the underside. Then I pinned both the lining and the main fabric together and sewed it down along the outer edges. And now I welcome you to some pretty evening clips of felling down the raw seams. And here's the finished hem of the sleeves with the golden thread. And running stitches for a neater outer look. Welcome back to daytime. Now a quick look at the upper part of the sleeve, so from the elbow up to the shoulder. I cut out 2 layers of the cream cotton twill that I used for the rest of the dress. I basted the pieces together, ready to be sewn and attached to the lower parts of the bell sleeve once that's finished. I didn't really film sewing the sleeves together because everything is white and it would be boring anyway, but this is both the sleeve parts attached together. And now a quick note about the ties around the arms. At first I thought about using these shoelace strings, but they weren't long enough. Then I tried to braid something by myself from fabric scraps and those gold and silver threads, but this turned out to be a disaster. And I finally bought 7 meters of this cream cotton ties, which I used about 2.5 meters for each sleeve, so for the ties for each sleeve, and the remaining 2 meters for the closure of the dress in the back. And this is how I inserted the ties here. I inserted it between the stitch on the underside of the sleeve so that it is anchored in place when it ties around the arms as the dress is worn, so that it has something to anchor to essentially. It's not just later put onto the dress, but it's actually part of the dress. And lastly, the inner sleeves, which in Eowyn's case are lovely and elaborate, but in my case entirely streamlined, but they function quite well. I took this semi-sheer silk lining from my fabric stash, cut out 2 rectangles the length of my forearm, and wide enough to fit on my forearm. I sewed them together lengthwise, hemmed the edge with that same golden thread, and attached elastic bands on the other side. You put them on like so, and with those trumpet sleeves they look like a part of the dress, so you can't even tell that they're detachable. A quick look at the finished trumpet sleeves, not yet attached to the dress, and before I get to the obligatory narcissistic montage reveal, I'll just talk a little bit about the process of making this garment. So here we are. I was thinking of just wrapping this up with a little bit of a comment on this whole thing, like the budget, the execution, how happy I am with the dress. I chose, like I said in the beginning of this video series, this is cotton twill, not really any kind of wool fabric, which the original is made of. That was due to budget reasons, so it's a little bit cheaper, but it's quite good quality, and I like the way it behaves and the way it behaved as it was being made into a dress. I didn't use up all of it. I used some of it for another project, so I had some leftovers. And then there's this lining fabric, so this flower embroidered. This is a viscose linen blend. I got about, I think, 3 meters of that. I'm not sure anymore. There was the golden thread, which is used on, well, on the embroidery, gold and silver thread, but a bit more of gold because it's also on the sleeves and on the, well, the inner sleeve. I got 2 gold ones and only 1 silver one, but I didn't even end up using, I think I ended up using about half of the golden one, and it was too much anyway. 2 was too many. What I used here was also this tape, this golden tape, that I'll try to find that. I won't put the price here because I honestly don't remember how much that was. And that is about it. Oh, also the ties for the sleeves and for the back. Then for the iron part of the belt, which I have here, I'm not wearing it anymore, so the metal part of the belt, were these filigree links. So I got 1 packet of these and I have gold ones still left over, plus I got some extra wire to connect them, gold and silver wire for this little thing that I made for the middle piece. So overall, plus side, budget definitely. I think I got this whole thing made for around 100 euros, which is still relatively a lot depending on, you know, what your budget is. But for a dress like this, I think that's still pretty decent price. Also, the way that I was able to make the belt plus this part of the belt, I'm very happy with how this turned out.
the embroidery here, the golden tape, and also these links, like this part of the belt. I think, oh, I'm so glad I found these because they turned out so great. I'm also very happy with the embroidery here. And I'm very happy with how the inner sleeves turned out. So these are literally just like this. Put them on, put them off, and they give the illusion that they are actually like sewn inner sleeves. But I'm super happy with the solution because they do the job. They look like they're part of the sleeves even though they're technically detachable, and you can use them for something else if you want to, if you have the opportunity or the right garment to use that with. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, and also with how it just the general cut of the garment, that it looks very similar to the original. The sleeves are a little bit loose. I always have a fear of making them too tight and then them not fitting me, so I prefer to be on the safe side and make them a little bit wider. Even though in this case, because it's quite a thick fabric and it's also double layer, it wrinkles a little bit, also because of the ties, but it's not that terrible. And also the back closure is not super great. Like, it's fine, it's decent, but it does wrinkle a little bit. I think for a future project I would have to work on to get it a little bit neater. If I were doing this again, I think I would probably line the lower half of the dress too, because now only the upper part is lined, so like down to the waist, to the hips. Because I didn't have enough fabric, but I think I would probably line the whole thing just so that it would be more structured. Another thing that I was thinking about was just the bunching at the waist that happens, and I noticed that happening on the original dress too, just because the belt doesn't sit on the waist, it sits on the hips, and as you move, obviously that's where your body moves, so it pushes the fabric upwards so that it bunches a little bit around the waist. But also, I don't think there's really any proper way of avoiding that because, like I said, it happens on the original dress too. But one thing that I was considering in the beginning, I wasn't quite sure about the execution, but I think what you could do to make it a bit more versatile would be to kind of make the lower end of the sleeves detachable. So actually make proper under sleeves that would just be regular sleeves, like down to your wrist, and then have this part of the sleeve, so the belt part, just kind of attached somehow to the elbow area above the elbow, so that you could technically have a more simple, everyday, nice dress that you could wear without the belt, without the long fuzzy sleeves, for some other occasion. I don't know what that would be, but to have a simpler dress that could also double as this dress, and then you would add the belt, both belts, and the sleeves, the big trumpet sleeves, maybe for some future project to experiment on. That's just kind of brainstorming here. But overall, I'm very happy with this project. I'm very happy with how it turned out. It is 95% hand sewn. The only thing I did by machine, and I got the machine at that point, I didn't have it before, but I got the machine, so then I did the hem with the machine, and that lower, like the closure in the back, not the closure, but the flap that kind of goes over the area where the skin would be exposed. I don't know how to explain that, there's probably a name for it. But that's the only parts that I did by machine. Everything else is hand sewn, from the sleeves, the embroidery. And it took a lot of time, but I don't regret it. It was a fun project. It was a nice waste of my time, and I'm glad to have this dress, which I will probably never really wear again, but that's kind of what art is. Art for art's sake or something, I don't know. Thank you for watching this video and the whole series of these videos. I hope you enjoyed it, and you're welcome to join me on my next quest, which is already in the making, and all the other future projects. Leave a comment down below, like, share with other sewing enthusiasts, Lord of the Rings enthusiasts if you like this, and I'll see you at some point. I don't know when, but hopefully soon. So yeah, bye!